Welcome to the Daily Deuce. I'm Gary Graves from just outside sunny and warm Louisville, Kentucky, and in Maryland, where I assume it's also sunny and warm. Not quite the kind of weather you're perfect with, John. But Big John Webster, how you doing? I see you're in a hoodie, so you must be either at work or indoors.
I'm indoors, but I usually wear a hoodie year round, man, because I need to be 95 to 100. And we haven't got to that point yet, Gary. Oh, I'm sorry. Gary, how you
Mm-mm.
doing, man? That's the first thing I need to say. Hope everybody's doing well. Another great week in sports. But back to my weather situation. Yesterday it was raining in the 60s. Today it was like low 70s. That's not hitting where I need to be hitting at, Gary. I need
Oh.
95 to 100, my friend. 95 to 100.
All right, from the Midwest, we're sending you some hot weather because yeah, it's supposed to get warmer toward the end of the week. I mean, again, today it's like near 80, probably a little bit over 80, which is fine for me, for walking the dogs, maybe dropping the top on the car and all that stuff. So that's about perfect. So speaking of perfect and hot, we've got two teams in the Final Four for the NBA playoffs: the New York Knicks and the defending champion Oklahoma City Thunder, both in there fresh off of sweeps of Philadelphia and the LA Lakers, respectively. We'll get to that in a minute, John, but I think we need to talk about two important game fives coming up in each conference. Tonight we've got Minnesota and San Antonio. San Antonio will get their big man, Victor Wembanyama, back from I guess you could call it, well, an ejection. I was going to say a suspension, but yeah, he was ejected early in game four for winding up and throwing a mean elbow that drew a flagrant two foul and a rightful ejection because there was no mistaking his intent on that. He's very, very lucky he didn't get suspended or fined, but I think the NBA recognizes, look, this is a playoff game. He's not a habitual offender like some other guys we discussed previously, and I think for him, it was a learning message. A couple of stories I read today where Greg Popovich, Manu Ginobili, some other guys have basically stepped in and kind of told the team they can win this, but I think they really had to focus on Wembanyama to get him to think, remember, he's going to get fouled. He's going to be pressured, and he can't lose his cool like that, especially with a game of consequence tonight and really on Sunday when he was ejected, because he went out, and even though it was a close game, San Antonio still lost, and really you can't say anything other than they lost because he wasn't in there to make a difference.
Well, tonight's a very important game. Wimby will be a part of it. The flagrant thing, I'm not sure. That was a flagrant too, and I'm not sure. Is there like a certain amount of points that you have to get on flagrant twos to be suspended the game? I don't know. I'm just asking about that.
Yeah.
Um,
But we know who the
he
repeat offenders are, and he doesn't seem to be one of them. I mean, he didn't even know what a flagrant two was when it was called on him. I mean, a lot had to be explained to him, and I think that says something about his maturity level in terms of how the NBA works, and really the fact that he probably doesn't commit those kind of fouls. I mean, it had to be explained to him. It was very flagrant, and it showed intent. And I think his ejection really got his attention, and hopefully he got a message from that.
well, I also think the coach Mitch Johnson, who's a very good coach, I think he's laid the groundwork for a more observant, officiated game tonight. Um,
Hmm.
I think Miss Johnson sees this similar to what Shaq went through, what Wilt Chamberlain went through, and other big men, which is every time they touch the ball, it's hard. He's basically fouled every time. So I
Mhm.
think he has laid the groundwork for that tonight. I don't want to take anything away from Minnesota. They played extremely well. Anthony Edwards had 36. I think he had 16 in the fourth quarter. But also, there was a big difference because there was not a guy in the middle who's 8 feet tall patrolling that lane.
Yeah,
It's a little bit different. We'll see how that plays out tonight. Minnesota's playing very well. They both are. They both have some very good players. I like on Minnesota. Besides Edwards, I also like. I like Randall, but I think Randall needs to come tonight. Edwards needs some people to also come to the party and help him out. Edwards would be one.
yeah,
Gobert has been playing really good down low and being the aircraft carrier and a rim protector. I really like that. The other kid, I'm going to try to say his name. Hopefully, I don't get his name wrong. Dusunu, something like that.
yeah,
No, I
yeah.
think he's number.
Close,
I think
close
he's.
enough.
I think he's number 13. He's played really well. They had another Illinois kid, Shannon, who has stepped in there well too. So, but like I do, Gary, when you go on the road, it's imperative for Anthony Edwards to play well because some of the players that have played well at home as role players may not play as well on the road. But he's definitely going to need a couple of them to step up tonight. The kid, what's his name? McDaniel, Jaden McDaniel. You need him to step in there and do his thing again tonight. Naj Reed, uh, very pivotal. Made a excellent shot, got a very big rebound, made a great pass down low to Jobert. You need those. Now on the other side of the coin with San Antonio, the Harper kid played well the other night. Um,
De'Aaron Fox. Yeah.
De'Aaron Fox is, I mean, whew, he is just something. And the kid, what's his name? Castle played,
Oh yeah.
those guys are going to come and play well. De'Aaron Fox is he's a monster. I'm happy for him because he was at Sacramento, and that just, I can't think of any other word. I hate saying a word like this. It was a waste. So I'm glad he's out of
Yeah.
Sacramento
He
and
made
he's in
them
a better.
competitive though. So I can't, I mean, I understand where you're going, what
Yeah,
you're
he
saying,
he he
but he
made
he
them
did make
competitive.
them somewhat competitive, but
But
you know,
you're
so,
right, Gary. But you've also heard me say this. You're playing by yourself, man.
yeah.
Old Stevie Wonder song. You're playing by yourself, man.
Yeah.
And that's what Fox was. Fox is now a very important component. This is really going to be a great game tonight. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be unbelievable. I think it's going to be another tight game. I think they're going to battle down to the end. This series is going to go 7 games, Gary. This
Yeah.
series will go 7 games.
Yeah.
So
I think
we'll see what happens.
yeah, I think Minnesota, not just in winning game four to even the series, I think just in this whole yeah, in this whole series, but I'll say what they need in game five is the energy and balance that they got in game one that that they stole. And I was looking at some of the scores. Okay, you talk about Edwards had 36 points in game one. Jaden McDaniels 14. Let's see. Randall, had 12 points, 8 rebounds. Rudy Gobert had 11 points, 13 boards. Those are the kind of numbers that you need to win on the road. And of course, they showed it not just in winning game one, but in proving they can win on the road and in a hostile environment, in a favorable environment. The funny thing about that game was their coach after that, despite winning, he was still kind of, both coaches have been working the refs, but he was really lobbying for more monitoring of Wembanyama and in terms of his goaltends and stuff. And again, he had a few in that game. Now, hope my eyes won't fail me, so I'm gonna look at this. Okay, Wembanyama. Let's see. In game one, no, that's not right. No, that is right. Yeah. Okay. No, wait a minute. That was the last game. Hold on, hold on. Well, I think he had 8 blocks. Now I remember. Yeah, he had 8 blocks.
Mhm.
Probably, I think he got at least a couple goaltends. And Minnesota's coaches was saying, you probably could have called him for about 5 more, which again, he might have a point, but we know he was politicking. But in this series, both coaches in complaining or pointing out things without criticizing the officiating have drawn a lot of attention to contact with him and maybe on both ends. And it's again, it's something that coaches do, but I think it's also something that reminds the refs this is a high stakes series. All of them are at this point, but this is one where you're talking about the NBA's next possible great superstar, and San Antonio wants to keep him in the game, wants to keep him, quote unquote, safe. At the same time, Minnesota doesn't want the refs to be blinded by his talents and said, look, we're going to defend him. We have to defend him. What is the wiggle room? What are the rules of engagement for this? What he did Sunday, really it broke all of those rules. It's a whole different thing. But it was just something to say, okay, yeah, we understand. But again, he's going to, you can defend him closely, but we know what a foul is. If you're Wemby, he knows he's going to get fouled, but he's got to keep his cool because there was just no other way to handle that situation but to eject him. So in the Eastern Conference, John, moving on, if you watched Game 4 with Detroit and Cleveland and Donovan Mitchell just going berserk in the second half with a record 39 points, none of which should really be surprising given the type of player he is, but that was a game that Cleveland absolutely had to win to avoid going down 3-1. He has been getting help from Harden. I think I was trying to think of the guy, guys like Jared Allen. He's had guys chip in, but when they were trailing, they needed a boost. They needed somebody to step up, and for him, it was important to be that kind of dominant player to take charge and really get the rest of them in. The only problem with that game, excuse me, was the ending, where a 17-point lead became only an 8-point lead in maybe the final 2 minutes or really the final 58 seconds, where anything can happen. I mean, really anything can happen. Even though it's a 4 possession game, Cleveland got sloppy with the ball. They got sloppy with their shot selection. They did not know. I mean, they were passing into double teams, which I couldn't understand at all. Especially, I think that one turnover that led to a basket that made it single digits. Detroit is not messing around defensively. They're not the bad boys, but they surround you. They shadow you. They face guard you. They do all the things that they're supposed to do, and I think that's what makes them such an effective team when the scoring isn't there, because defense can turn into offense on the other end. And Cleveland, with 2 losses, has already seen what can happen. But now that it's tied, you go to Detroit, and I think this is a game that I think that will probably decide the series because Cleveland is good enough to win that game. Detroit might be better at home, but the Stars have to step up. But in Cleveland's case, Donovan Mitchell is going to need a lot of help. It's going to have to be basically almost 4 or 5 guys scoring in double figures against Detroit.
Very good points, Gary. I think Cleveland, and you've heard me say this as well, series doesn't start until the home team loses a game. So right now, basically, you got two teams that just held serve. Um, Same in Minnesota and San Antonio as well. But I think with this one, with Cleveland going to Detroit, again, you have to have some other people get in the car with you. You know Donovan Mitchell's going to do his thing. He did it yesterday. I think he set a record with 23 points in the third quarter. I think that's the most points in a quarter,
Yeah.
something like that. Um, Harden, he's not the James Harden that we knew in Houston, but he still has the ability to take over games. You need him deep in this series. You need him to come through. Give you another name who I think is playing hard, but he needs to get a few more productions on the offensive end. That's Evan Mobley. Um,
Mm, good point.
I think that he's a key that you need to get something out of him. The kid Struce or Strauss that they bring in,
Oh, yeah, Struz. Yeah.
really great shooter. Does a good job spreading the court. I still go with Cleveland. I think Cleveland wins the series. Detroit is good, but I'm just not sure this is their year. Cunningham is going to come. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. Cunningham is going to come and play. Who else is going to come to the party with him? Will Jalen Duren come to the party with him? Will Duncan Robinson come to the party with him? Will the Thompson twin? Will he come? Who else is going to step up? That's the thing that we'll see. I think Cleveland will be able to step up more than Detroit, and I think Cleveland wins this series in 7 games.
Okay. All right. I like that. How do you like San Antonio and Minnesota at this point?
That's a pick 'em. I really like San Antonio because it's not a good team; it's a good program that goes all the way back to Popovich and how they do things. I really like it, but I've always had something. I've always felt a certain way about Anthony Edwards, Gary. I like that kid, man. I just like him,
Mhm.
and I'm hoping they can pull it out. But also, if they do, 7 games as well. So
All
we'll,
right.
we'll, we'll see what happens with it, man. We'll see.
Yep. Well, somebody's got to take charge in both of those series because lurking in the distance, and I'm just going to touch on this briefly. You've got a New York Knicks team that effectively destroyed Philadelphia in that series, and I want to again. I didn't really see much of the clincher, but I think the first 3 games they won by at least 30 points. That says more, I think. Well, it says a whole lot about the Knicks and their ability to close, but also a lot about Philadelphia. But I think again, this is more about New York, its depth, its quickness, and Mike Brown's coaching. Um, Ditto for Oklahoma City, its depth, obvious. We continue to see it. We continue to see their defense, and we continue to see Shea Gilgeous-Alexander be a dominant player as well as a complementary player. And I think that's what makes them dangerous. And I think they're going to need that rest because San Antonio is not a good matchup for them. Yeah, I think what San Antonio might have won the season series. Um, so that it's a concern for OKC, but I think they also have a chance to look at these next maybe 3 games in that series and try to devise some kind of strategy to get points and well as shut him down on the other end.
Be interesting. If it ends up being San Antonio and OKC, yeah, that'll be a lot of fun to watch. The last thing that I'll say about this before we move on, Minnesota has to improve their ball handling and the ability to move and get to the ball when Anthony Edwards gets double teamed. If they can't do that, it's going to be a long day at the Alamo.
Nice. I saw what you did there. It's a that's a good one. Okay. NBA draft lottery. In Washington, there is some cause for optimism because they quote unquote won the lottery and earned a number 1 pick. The question is, how do they use it? Do they go after Duke's Cameron Boozer? Do they go after, and I'm going to try to say his name, AJ Dibansa from Brigham Young,
You,
or
you
Darren
got it.
Peterson from Kansas. Those are the names that we have heard. Um,
Caleb Wilson, North Carolina.
Caleb Wilson, yeah, yeah, he's another one. There's so much you can do with that pick. Uh, I, I want to feel optimistic about the Wizards trying to, make that climb back to respectability. After years of being in the witness protection program, it's just it's just a matter of, do you want the sexy guy, or a guy that you can build a team around and be your cornerstone for the next eight to 10 years. That's something I'll say that they've lacked. Ironically, John Wall was there representing the Wizards, and himself being a former number one pick. There was some irony in that. I really want to feel good about the Wizards. I want to see some kind of an optimism that we haven't had maybe since the Bradley Beal and Gilbert Arenas days, or not too long ago when Russell Westbrook was there for that last playoff appearance. I would say Devanza is probably, I would say, a smart pick, but Boozer, he's a grown man. He is a grown man, and that would probably be the safe, sexy pick. What do you think?
It's a lot for me to unwrap. If I'm in the, you ready to say Bullets, I'm sorry. If I'm in the Wizards draft room, I need to figure out about Anthony Davis. Am I keeping Anthony Davis? I think he can help the team, but then you got to think about his history with injuries. So you got to look at that. Now, here, if you keep Anthony Davis, and I'm not against that, and you got Sarr, I'm willing to draft Cam Boozer, and I'll move Sarr to the three, and I put Cam Boozer at a four. And your backcourt, you got Trey Young. See, this team, to me, they've been, I hate to say tanking, but I'll say they have struggled over the last couple years to put together wins. And I think this team is not going to win a championship next year, but I think they can take a major step forward next season and win 45 games, Gary. 45. I think that's a major step forward. I think if you're keeping Anthony Davis, if you're keeping Trey Young, and then you're picking up Boozer. You put Boozer at that four. Boozer is a bruiser. He'll play that four very well. Anthony Davis is a solid veteran. He had a lot of positive things to say about the Wizards organization and is moving forward. We all know that they have struggled. They have had challenges over the last few years as far as putting together a winning organization. But I think they are building it correctly. I think they can do some things. All these guys are great. The Bance is a great player. Darren Peterson's a really good player. Ronald Acuff, a really good player. But I think the piece to the puzzle that I think helps the Wizards, I like Boozer. I could be in the minority. But I just think you move Sarr to a three, and you got Anthony Davis playing down low to five. That's my thoughts, Gary.
Yeah. Well, just in case anybody's wondering, let's see the draft order that we are looking at. Let's see. Of course, Washington goes number one. Let's see, what is this? And I just had it up
Unless
on the screen.
unless the Wizards want to make a trade and they trade the number one pick to Milwaukee to get Giannis.
Ooh, ooh. Um, okay. Wow. Wow. Okay. Well, let's just go draft order. First
I
five
threw you
picks.
off on that, didn't I?
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Way off. Almost fell out of my chair. Washington, Utah, Memphis, Chicago, and the LA Clippers with the pick from Indiana. Um, let's see, Brooklyn, six, Sacramento, Atlanta with a pick from New Orleans, Dallas, and Milwaukee. It's going to be interesting to see what the Bucks do with Giannis, whether they, where they trade him, and what they get in return. And I think Indiana, that pick they probably could have used to draft a player, to help in the meantime while hmm, oh gosh, he got her Tyrese Halliburton
Halliburton,
was
yeah.
recovering from um a knee injury. Or was it a torn Achilles?
Torn Achilles.
That's right.
Achilles. He
That's
tore his
okay.
Achilles.
Now, you know, Washington. They have to get serious. I think that's the main thing. They have to get serious about winning and getting to that 45 win threshold that you set for them, which is, John, a lot of confidence in this team. And I think the thing for them is not just who they draft, but trying to ensure that he has support. And how do you use Anthony Davis? Do we think he's a starter anymore? No. How much do you play him? Or if you do start him, how do you play him? How many minutes do you give him? And what kind of help does he have? What kind of backups do you have? I think this is one a pick. The first pick is important, but what you do after that and in free agency and trying to get some guys to come in there, especially when you've got, as you said, two building blocks in Davis and Trey Young, both of whom want to stay there, which might surprise anybody that's watching us. It sure as heck surprised me when you told me that.
I think that, you got something to build for. Again, I'm not looking for him to win a championship, but I'm looking for him to make a step in the right direction on wins. And I think 45 is a good total they can get to. So we'll see about that, man.
Yeah.
You know. But
Well,
Gary, man, I need you to tell me about the Preakness, man. What's going to go on with the Preakness? I like this horse named Iron Honor.
yeah, he's a good pick. Here's the thing about the Preakness. Uh, it's going to feature a lot of good horses that didn't run in the Derby, maybe a couple that did not. A couple of horses that ran in the Derby. In fact, I'm trying to look up the latest odds now. It's but of course it won't have the Kentucky Derby winner in Golden Temple, and thank you for the winnings, Mr. Tempo. It's just that 2 weeks is now becoming a big factor in in depriving the Preakness of that star power.
Hmm.
I think the stat is, well, this is like the third Preakness in the last 5 years that won't include the Kentucky Derby winner. And I think it's something like maybe 6 out of 8. It's a really ridiculous number. And it illustrates, I think, some of the problems that trainers and owners have with bringing a horse back 2 weeks later. Now, I've always said it didn't seem to hurt Secretariat or two other Triple Crown winners in the 70s, running on 2 weeks rest, just 2 weeks rest. But now there's talk it could be 3 weeks. If it's 3 weeks, I think you have a better field. I think you have the star power, maybe the top two or three horses from the Derby. But let's see, I'm trying to think. There we go. Iron Honor, 9-2 morning line favorite. I think that's a good one for him. Trying to think, look at who else is in this field. Taj Mahal, which is a good horse. Chip Honcho, incredible. Oh yeah, and Ocelli, who finished third, a 70-1 horse that finished third in the Derby, coming on from the back, much like Golden Tempo and Renegade. They're all really solid choices. It's of course, a little bit shorter than the Preakness at 1 mile and 3/16, but it's I think it's the kind of race that and it's a smaller field too. Ocelli is a 6-1 second choice. It's his kind of race to win with a smaller field. He just got bunched up there and had to really race through the pack, much like Golden Tempo, who just navigated through traffic and then took a wide outside path and still ran down the field essentially. It's I like Ocelli along with Iron Honor. I mentioned, Taj Mahal, Chip Honcho, and Incredible, all 5-1 choices. So it's a wide open field. You got to like it. It moves to Laurel Park from Pimlico while the track is being rebuilt. And from what I remember about Laurel Park, it was always the kind of place that really, speed horses loved it, really because of boat stretches. It's just something maybe because of how, just how that track is situated, that it always drew really, good stakes crowds. I was trying to remember one year, I think they used to call it the Pimlico Special or something that used to run there. They ran there a couple of times. Think when they had a fire at Pimlico, a lot of good horses have come through there. It's good for the track to have this, if only for 1 or 2 years while Pimlico is being rebuilt. And this is one of those kind of races that I really think will show the horse that might challenge Golden Tempo in the Belmont Stakes, and I guess Renegade too, because a lot of owners have pointed toward the Belmont Stakes, which is 1.5 miles and is a true test. And I think that's why they're holding them out of the Preakness with just a 2-week turnaround.
Go ahead, Gary. Take us home.
Just talked about the Preakness. John, we've got the PGA Championship coming up this weekend. So the golf's second major. It's being played in Pennsylvania. The usual suspects we talk about: Scotty Scheffler and Rory McIlroy. Rory McIlroy, he of the second straight Masters win. Let's see, we've got the playoffs, NBA that is. By the weekend we might know who could take charge of both series that we talked about at the outset. John, we've got baseball. We've got the WNBA, which just started. So we're probably going to have a couple more marquee matchups to start up the season before they get into that routine. So John, we have so much to choose from, and that means there's so much for us to discuss. And we'll discuss it on YouTube. We'll discuss it on Facebook, and that's about all I have to say.
Hey, another great week in sports. Thanks for tuning in and listening to Gary and I. We greatly love you and appreciate it. This week, watch some golf, watch some hockey, watch some UFL football, watch some baseball, watch some basketball, WNBA and NBA, watch some soccer, watch some NHL. But above all else, just watch some sports, and we'll see you again real soon. Take care.